I vår fyller Israel 75 år. Kerenkaemet har i över 120 år utvecklat det moderna landet Israel. Vi har utfört omfattande miljöarbete, träplantering, ökenbekämpning, vattenprojekt, infrastruktur för att kunna välkomna judar från hela världen. Arbetet fortsätter. Nu handlar det om att välkomna utsatta judar från bland annat Ukraina och Ryssland. Din gåva skapar förutsättningar för deras utbildning, försörjning och integration. Fira med oss att den 2000-åriga drömmen om Sion har infriats. Fira Israel 75 år genom en jubileumsgåva. Alla som ger 750 kronor eller mer får ett jubileumsdiplom och en pin med Raoul Wallenbergs diplomatväska. Betala via Swish eller bankgiro. Märk din betalning Israel 75 år.
Välkommen till drömmen om Sion. Vi står i Tel Aviv, mitt i centrala staden och med skyskraporna bakom oss som silhuett.
Precis.
Dagen efter utropandet så anföll de arabiska arméerna.
De anföll och Israel fick försvara sig på 4 fronter.
Och det var ju David mot Goliat, verkligen.
Det var verkligen David mot Goliat. Men man lyckades. Och sen har det ju varit ett antal krig. Och det har kostat ett högt pris i människoliv. Men också i soldater som blivit skadade för livet.
Mm. Dagen innan självständighetsdagen så minns ju Israel alla som har stupat. Dels i regelrätta krig men också via terrorattacker.
Det stämmer. Så innan Yom Ha'atzmaut, befrielsedagen eller utropandet av Israel, firandet av utropandet av Israel, självständighetsdagen, så lyder sirenerna och man hör då, och då stannar bilar mitt i trafiken och folk stiger ur bilarna och man tar en stilla minut för alla som har stupat.
De skadade i krigen har ju också en egen förening som tar hand om dem ända till livets slut när det gäller rehabilitering, att få återfå ett normalt liv så långt det är möjligt och så vidare. 50 000 medlemmar.
Precis. Det heter då Beit Halochem, huset för de stridande. Och det finns 4 sådana etablerade idag. Och ett 5:e håller på att byggas.
Och vi träffade en överste som leder det här arbetet.
Vi träffade doktor Moshe Shema som leder det här arbetet. Han är överste i armén och han ansvarar för Tel Aviv.
Han berättade om arbetet, vi fick en guidning, se hur man jobbar och så gav han oss i Sverige några strategiska råd, för han har doktorerat i militär strategi.
Precis.
Så han sa bland annat, ni kan inte bara tänka 5 år. Ni måste tänka 50 år framåt. För den beslut ni tar gäller inte bara er. Det gäller också era barn och era barnbarn.
Precis, och han menar på att även om det är lugn just idag så kan det plötsligt vändas till en annan situation. Och det märker vi ju i Sverige idag, eller hur?
Precis. Så vi beger oss till Beit
Halochem.
It's not a secret that we are surrounded by a lot of enemies. If you wish to know the numbers, I will tell you something like that. Here in Israel, give or take, we have the maximum 9 million people, okay? And 24,000 square kilometers. Sweden, if I remember correctly, it's something like 500,000 square kilometers, 20 times more than Israel, the same population. Just to give you the numbers, okay? We are surrounded by 400 million Muslims. Now, not all of them are our enemies. We have a peace agreement with Egypt, as you know, and with Jordan, even with Morocco. But still, as a nation, as a Jewish nation, 7.5 million Jewish here, because we have Arab population too, which are totally Israeli citizens. Excellent. Surrounded by 400 million Muslims. Okay? This is the numbers. So, in average, we have a war or a special operation between 5 to 6 years. Every 5-6 years, boom, we have either a war against the Hezbollah in the north or against Hamas in the south or whatever. Okay? Every war, there are soldiers that are killed or wounded. Okay? And the proportion is like that. The last operation in Gaza, for example, I think it was the protective age, if I remember correctly, we had, and it was a very small operation, it's not a military operation. When I say operation, a military operation, yes. We had approximately 2,000 wounded soldiers. Now, most of them, thank God, not severely wounded. Most of them. As you know, the medical care in Israel is one of the best in the world, so they can save and they can give a very good treatment. But even just 500 soldiers are severely wounded, they need rehabilitation. So what's happening? This is our organization. So after they will release from the army, we don't have soldiers here, it's just veterans. After they will release from the army and they will release from the hospital, they will come to Beit Halochem. The Beit Halochem, if I will translate it to English, the house of the warriors or the house of the fighters. They will come to here to get the rehabilitation process until the rest of their life. It's until 120 years. As long as they live, there are no limits. Here they will get all the hydrotherapy treatment or the physiotherapy. We have workshops. We have a very good some kind of authority to have rehabilitation with sport. Okay, we use sport as a tool. So we shall send them to Paralympic Games. We shall send them to compete with other disabled in Europe, in United States, whatever. Because for them it will give some kind of meaningful, you know. They have a reason to wake up in the morning and to do something, not to be disabled, if I may use this term. Because we don't want them to have in their perception that there is something that's limit them. No, you can do everything. So we shall encourage them to go to the university and we shall give them all the scholarship they need. We will encourage them to go to find a job, to get married, to bring children, to bring the children to Beit Halochem. So I will say it's some kind of a comprehensive solution for the disabled veterans. So we have 4 centers one in Tel Aviv, which we are sitting here, is the biggest one, and it's the first one. Okay, it was opened immediately after the Yom Kippurim War, 1974, Yom Kippurim War, which was a very problematic war for Israel. Then we opened in Haifa, then we have in Jerusalem, and we have in Beersheba. And now we are in the middle of a process to build the fifth one in Ashdod, in the seashore. So in Ashdod, we are going to use the seaport as a rehabilitation process or rehabilitation tool for the disabled. We have 50,000 members. We are the only organization, I think, in the world that we don't want any more new members. We don't want new members. We have here in our Beit Halochem Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Druze. Although it's not in our mandate, okay, as an organization, to get to our lines people that were heard in terror attacks, we do it because we have the facilities. But the majority here are soldiers that were wounded during a war, and they come to Beit Halochem. Now, it's not just that they get hurt during a war or some kind of special operation. It could be even as an accident. If it's happened to them during their army service, they may come. It's like everybody else, because it was during their army service. The youngest one, as I told you, it's a long life. The youngest one is 18 and 4 months. He was stabbed, just recently. The oldest one is over 100 years old. He was wounded in the Independence War, okay, and he still come to Beit Halochem. Immediately after the Independence War, a group of wounded soldiers came to Ben Gurion. He came to them, David Ben Gurion, to Tel HaShomer Hospital with Professor Shiba. Now the hospital is named by Professor Shiba, and they decided to have an organization that will represent them, okay? And Ben Gurion agreed, and so this is the organization. So it was 48, 49, something like that, okay? Listen, it's a very unique organization. I can tell you that we get delegations from all over the world, okay, that wish to see what we are doing in Beit Halochem, okay? What is Beit Halochem? How we have some kind of a rehabilitation process that's, I will say, 99.9% success, okay? So we, 3 years ago, we had the Veterans Minister of the United States. He came to here with a huge delegation to see what is Beit Halochem. We get, every year, we have a very special program with the wounded soldiers of the British Army, in Afghanistan and so on. So they send every year approximately 160 wounded veterans to this Beit Halochem, mainly in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and they have some kind of sport games with our veterans. It's some kind of, it's some of competition, but it's not really competition. It's more friendly. And we have mixed group with them, Israeli wounded with the England, the UK wounded, and so on and so on. This year we are going to Düsseldorf to participate for the first time in the Invictus sport games. You know what is the UK Royal game, something like that. Very unique, very nice. Although we do not belong to the UK empire, I will say, but still we are going to send athletes to these Invictus games. Every year we have a delegation from Canada. Something like between 100 to 120 athletes, which are cycling, cycling, yes. And they come every year on a yearly basis, and they ride with our cycling groups, which are disabled veterans, disabled people. So some of them are blind even. So we have a tandem bicycle, you know, with two and it's amazing. So we should do it with Sweden too. It's about time to do some kind of projects like that. Cooperation, joint ventures with Sweden. Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
What do you do with people, with soldiers that got a nervous breakdown?
PTSD. Okay, yeah. You know.
Post-traumatic.
Yeah. Post-traumatic. Yeah, we have it. Unfortunately, we have a lot of them. People that were in captivity in Syria or in Egypt, in Yom Kippurim War. We have a lot of them. Yeah, or just because of what happened to them during the battle, they have PTSD. So we established in every Beit Halochem, and I mentioned Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem, Beersheba, we have a group. It's a closed group, just for it's called the PTSD group, and we call it Achiad. Achiad in Hebrew, if I will translate it to English, some kind of my brother forever, okay? And they get together all the time on a weekly basis. I would say in every Beit Halochem, in average, I don't have the exact numbers in each one of them, but in average we have something between 70 to 80 participants in each Beit Halochem, in each one of them, and we give treatment not just to them, to the wives, okay? Because it's a family treatment. It's not just for the individual, because if he suffers from PTSD, the family, it reflects the family too. We know that. Yeah. So we bring the wife to support groups. We send them to trips, hike in Greece as a group, but it's a closed group, okay? To give them the ability that they can do it, they can achieve things, okay? And of course, they have the treatment, the long treatment in hospital and so on. But we give them the added value, we'll say. Okay? Yes. Yeah. It's an excellent treatment, I must admit. We have a good results, either from the physical side or from the psychological side, both of them. But we have groups. But to give you the proportion, when I said that we have 50,000 members, disabled veterans, it's like all the Swedish Army and the National Guard together. It's less than 50,000. The Swedish, yeah? It's less than 50,000.
But it will change.
Now, because the problem, it's a good point. You need now to have immediately a strategic plan to your army. I'm a colonel. Well, I'm a colonel in the army, as you know, and my PhD is in strategy. It's a very interesting issue. I'm not in a position to give recommendation to the Swedish government. I'm sure that you are going to change your strategy, and you will do it rapidly. Now, Swedish is a very big country, okay? It's like that. It's a big country. It's like that, okay? And you need to know who are your neighbors. I'm not. I give you a hint, okay? And you know what's happened now in Europe. Even if you now live in peace, and I will emphasize the now. Even if you now live in peace, the world is not so stable, and there are changes, geopolitical changes all the time. So you need to think in a strategic point of view, okay? What are the trends? What is going to happen 50 years from now? Not 5 years from now. Because you are a nation, and you have responsibility to your children, to grandchildren. And if you will analyze the trends in an objective way, you will immediately understand that you need a very strong army all the time. All the time. And especially now, and you need to start now. And it's not easy to build a strong army. It's a process, it's a long process, you know. So, as a colonel, I'm telling you, pay attention to this area, to this subject.
Are there any soldiers, veteran soldiers, that are going back after being treated, going back to the army?
Yes, there are some that, you know, that if they are not severely wounded, they can go back to the army, but most of them will have to volunteer to do it. Okay, to volunteer to do it, but a lot of them, if they are not severely wounded, they will do it because they wish to go back to their unit. But then, after they will release from the army, they will come to Beit Halochem. Yeah, and they will bring their family to Beit Halochem. If you will come in the summer, you will go to the swimming pool, you will see children. You say, what is the connection between children, the disabled veterans? But the children of the disabled veterans. Because it's a comprehensive solution here.
This is just a short your history in the army. Yourself?
I joined the army at the age of 18, like everybody else, and then I went and they sent me to the artillery. But immediately, after several months, they sent me to a commander course. So I did it, and they told me, okay, go immediately to be an officer. So I said, okay, you know, this time it was 40 years ago, you cannot say no, okay? So I immediately went to the officer course. It was a very long course, almost 9 months. And then I became an officer, a young one. And what's happened that's during my period of time, there was the first Lebanon war. So I was then the commander of a small unit, something like 70, 80 fighters, with all the cannons, you know, and the artillery and the shells and so on. And it was in Lebanon. So I spent 2 years in Lebanon. It was difficult, not easy. A lot of casualties, and a lot of, you need to be in a war situation on a daily basis. I wanted to continue with the army, but my mother totally disagreed. She said, no. She put, no, you're not going to continue in the army. Because, you know, I did my... So I was released from the army. Months later, they called me to the reserve. Where? In Lebanon. Anyway, but in the reserve, I did my career, okay, the main career. So because I became very fast a commander of a battalion, which is a big unit, and then of a brigade, and so on. So I enjoy it very much, and I will say something like that. Everybody thinks that when you join the army, you give to the army. I said the opposite. The army gave me much more than I gave them. Much more. Because they build my personality. I must admit, I say it totally like that. The army built my personality. Most of it. Yeah? So they gave me a lot. And they gave me the not just the ability, I think the ability it's a good word, to be able, you know, to be able to be a commander during a wartime and to storm a target. It's not easy, especially if you are 21 years old. It's a child. So this time I thought, I'm not a child, 21, 22 years old. Of course I'm not a child. It's a child. But they taught me how to do it, okay? I ended the career as a colonel, okay? Or in English you say colonel, okay? This is the exact. It's very nice for a reserve, okay? For reserve. And I must say, I enjoyed it very much. I was the commander, during the reserve, I was the commander of Gaza, I was the commander of the refugee camp, I was the commander of Jenin, whatever you want. I went to Lebanon again and out. But it was very easy, not easy, but it was easier for me because I speak Arabic very well. So when I was the commander of Jabal, which is a refugee camp in the Gaza Strip, I could communicate with the community itself, and it helped me a lot. Okay.
Ja, det var allt för denna gång om drömmen om Sion. Och se oss nästa vecka igen, samma tid, samma kanal.
Everybody raise your hand. Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Ay, 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 ay. Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Oy, oy, ay, 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 ay. Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. Ay, 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 ay. Birushalayim, 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 Birushalayim.
I vår fyller Israel 75 år. Vi vill fira detta genom att färdigställa Raoul Wallenberg Park utanför Jerusalem. Raoul Wallenberg var en svensk hjälte som på uppdrag av UD räddade tiotusentals judar under andra världskriget.
Raoul Wallenberg is an angel. He saved us, come from heaven to save us and go back to I receive my life like I approve.
Vår målsättning är att Sverige ska bli det Israelvänligaste landet i Europa. Parken är en viktig pusselbit i relationerna mellan Sverige och Israel. Fira med oss att den 2000-åriga drömmen om Sion har infriats. Fira Israel 75 år genom en jubileumsgåva. Alla som ger 750 kronor eller mer får ett jubileumsdiplom och en pin med Raoul Wallenbergs diplomatväska. Betala via Swish eller bankgiro. Märk din betalning Israel 75 år.